Welcome to ThoughtConnected.com and today's Associate Insight. My name is John Munro and I'm the owner and founder of ThoughtConnect. Today I'll be speaking to David Watts. David has been an associate with the ThoughtConnect group since early 2017 and an important part of the group. David has literally decades of experience at senior executive levels in some of Australia's biggest companies and now focuses on leadership, business and sales coaching. Hi David, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Hey John, how you going?
Good, I'm great, thanks. Can you just, first of all, tell me a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure, John. So as you said, I've been fortunate enough to work for some of Australia's largest companies, and I guess one of the advantages of working with large corporates is the experiences that we get as employees, either through the roles that we do or through the training that we're given in order for us to be successful in those roles. So the great opportunities that I've had with some big companies like Arnott's Biscuits, Gillette, Diageo, Lion, CUB, is that they've given me some really good insights into strategy. So how to bring a business to life, how to stay on plan, so build the plan and stay on plan, but also how to work with people. And that's, I guess, where the leadership comes into it. So how to be a good coach, how to be a good leader, what feedback looks like, what coaching looks like, and how to work with people to get the best out of them. And that's really where I guess I've been able to evolve.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's such a gap, not only in business, but in society in general. So what would you say your areas of specialty are, David?
Yeah, look, there's really three ways I break up my business, John. So the first one is in leadership coaching. So that's working with leaders or managers, as a lot of businesses like to call them, in helping those people evolve their skills in how to work with people. Often what we find is that people are promoted into leadership or management roles because they are technical experts, either in sales or finance or other areas. But what they don't have is the skills to be a good leader and get the best out of their people. So it's helping them transition from the technical expert to being able to be a people manager and a people leader. Mm. The other area of my business is working with, I suppose, smaller to medium businesses on strategy. So there's a lot of people out there who buy a business or who have started a business because they are very good at a particular skill. So take an electrician. They've gone to trade school, they've been taught or they've learned how to be an electrician, but no one's taught them how to run a business. So there's fundamentals of what that looks like. So for me, it's about sitting down with those people to say, here is your business. Where is it going? What do you want to get out of it? What does success look like? What's your exit strategy look like? And all those sorts of things. And certainly one of the things I've found over time is that a lot of people haven't thought about that. They haven't actually considered that. They might have bought a job. They've been perhaps mid 40s or 50s, have a redundancy payout, and they've gone and bought themselves a job, but they don't really know what else to do from there. Mm. And then the third part is the sales coaching. So then working with smaller to medium-sized businesses on all aspects of sales. So it might be one-on-one with particular salespeople, or it might be larger scale groups. And that's about helping them with specific skills, but also around territory management, being efficient when you're in the marketplace, and how to get the best out of a transaction with a client.
Yeah, thanks, David. Just going back a little bit, mate, how did you get started? I'd love you to talk me through that.
Sure. So interesting, given I've just been talking about redundancy. So I was working with Lion for a number of years, nearly 11 years. And due to a corporate restructure, I found myself looking for the next opportunity in my life. I guess I'd been thinking for some time about the skills that I had and what else I could do. And so at that time, I started to evolve my business. I did a short contract with Carlton United Brewing while I was thinking about this. And then when that contract finished, it was the perfect opportunity for me to get out there and have a crack. But I guess what I did know before I started was where I could add value. And that was especially in the leadership component and also the strategic component as well.
Yeah. So running your own business, what are some of the common myths that you think about starting your own business, running your own business and being successful like you have been?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you can see, we're doing a video and the phone's ringing, and I don't have a PA to answer it for me. So, so one of the common myths is that there's lots of people to do things, and as my answering machine picks it up, we'll find that that's actually not the case. Look, I think the common myths of being in your own business is that it's pretty cruisy. You can do what you want. You can set your own hours, and they're definitely true. But I guess the reality of being a consultant is if you don't work, you don't get paid. And that's pretty straightforward. And that not many people are out there earning retainers where they are set up in a system where someone gives them a sum of money every month. So reality of it is that, yeah, you do have flexibility and you very much do determine your own hours. But the cost of that is that when you're not working, you're not getting paid. When there's a public holiday, guess what? There's no public holiday pay. When you go on annual leave, you don't get paid for that either. So certainly going from corporate life to being self-employed is different. In saying that, I have far greater balance than I've ever had before. I get to spend time with my kids. I get to be in a position with them where, I can be part of their school sports, excursions and things where I can make it fit in my working week.
Yeah, you've summed it up really beautifully. Yeah, working for yourself is a very special opportunity, I think. So,
Yeah.
getting back to what you do, can you run me through an example of what you would do for a client in a one-on-one situation or a one-to-many situation where a business might come to you, or whether a client specifically comes to talk to you?
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you an example of a client I've been working with for some time. Small business, team of 8, second generation owner. And the opportunity with that particular business was to work with them around their strategy. And a bit like the example I gave you before, why are you in business? What does your exit plan look like? And this is a very successful business. So they have just been working along very nicely and things are fine. But the opportunity that I saw with this business was, how do they get new ideas? How do they evolve their leadership style? How do they evolve their sales structure when they're, I guess, living in this bubble? So for me, it's about getting inside the bubble and working with all the elements. So with that particular client, we did a SWOT. So we looked at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of their business. What we did particularly well, though, is we involved the entire team. So everybody in the business was involved in building that SWOT. And that gave the owners some really interesting insights and a couple of aha moments. And it was a bit of a challenge for them, because for them it's like, wow, we need to look internally and look at ourselves because we have created this. And so from that SWOT, we built a business plan. We built a strategy with short, medium, long-term goals. And so when I work with them on a weekly basis, we're basically working through that plan. And so we've had some really interesting discussions. We've had a work cover claim that we've had to work through. We've had recruiting. I've been working with the owner specifically on his leadership skills, been working with their structure and making sure that how they approach the market is the right way. So the great example with that one is that, this is a journey. It's not just a one-off, come in, wave the magic wand, and all is resolved. Because ultimately, you're working with culture. You're working with ideas that are quite deep-seated. When you're talking to someone who's in their 40s and they've been doing this for 15 years, that's what they know. That's their world. And so to come in and start to shake that tree and challenge that can be quite confronting. But at the same time, the rewards from being confronting are far greater than actually not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
So I guess that's an example of where I have an opportunity to talk to someone. On the flip side, LinkedIn has been a really fantastic opportunity to grow my business. And I've actually contact me through LinkedIn for mainly my leadership skills and the work that I do with the human synergistics products. And so that might be running a specific program for them. So that might be a one-off, but one-off being, a full day or a couple of days to do something quite specific with a team or a group of people. And that's work that I genuinely love, because I love being in front of people and love taking them on a journey to help build and help them grow within their own culture. And it's great. People can be very honest and open. And it's, I think, one of the great privileges that people like us have, John, is that we get invited to learn about other people's businesses. And you don't get that as an employee for a company. You become very knowledgeable about your own business, but you don't get the opportunity to see other people's businesses.
Yeah.
And then through that, as you would know, you then learn and your own toolkit builds and expands because you've got other points of reference for businesses that are either similar size, similar scale, or even similar type of business. So, yeah, it's really interesting.
You mentioned human synergistics just before, a really fascinating part of what you do and a really important part of my career as an exec over 30 years was products like what you are an expert in. Would you like to run me through a little bit about that product and when you see it as being important to individuals and to businesses?
Yeah, sure. So Human Synergistics is a global company, have been around for many, many years. It's a psychology-based circumplex, and I'll have something on my website, on my LinkedIn page soon, which will actually show people that aren't familiar with the product what it looks like. But the psychology that goes behind their product is really understanding constructive behaviours. So behaviours that proactively change and change for the better. Look at behaviours that can be quite destructive. So we call those the red behaviours, which really talk to aggressive, competitive cultures or individual behaviours, which sometimes can achieve short-term results. So think of the person that says, "John, I need you to get this done. I don't care what you think," and you go and do it. So tick the box on the result. But you walk away feeling quite deflated and quite disengaged. So it's about understanding the red behaviours. And the other part of the circumplex is the green behaviours, which is the passive ones. And they're the ones where a lot of things don't get done. And you get a lot of followers in your business rather than leaders or people who are there to grow. So Human Synergistics have put these products together and they are measured, I guess, in 3 different ways. My qualification with their product touches on 2 of those ways. So that's the group style inventory, or some people might know that as the GSI, and then the lifestyle inventory, which is the LSI, and that's about the individual. And so what I do when I work with clients is take them on that journey of team. So let's talk about the GSI. So the idea of the GSI is it's about understanding how a particular group of people operates in a given environment. So think about yourself when you're in corporate land. You have a regular meeting, and it might be a team meeting once a week. In that meeting, you'll have people that will dominate, you'll have people that will follow, you'll have people that will be argumentative, people that will do whatever they need to do to get by. So in understanding what's happening in that meeting and the culture behind it, what you can actually do is start to build an action plan by pulling apart that meeting, pulling apart that experience and saying, okay, given this, do those passive people who say nothing, what are they contributing, or are they being invited to contribute? The people who are dominating, whose ideas are always being put on the table and everything learning about getting the best out of other people. So it's about pulling that apart, shaking the tree and then saying, all right, let's now build an action plan to make that meeting or that environment with that team more effective and far more constructive. The LSI tool, which is about self, is really an understanding of how you think. So when each of us do what we do, we have an idea in our head of how we do it. So when you, John, get up in front of a group of people in ThoughtConnect, you have an idea in your head of how you sound, of what you say, how you act. But then everyone else who's looking at you will have a perception of that. So what the LSI does is it looks at the difference between how do I think, which is what they call the LSI 1, and then how am I perceived, which is the LSI 2. And that can be a really confronting experience for people, especially if there's a difference between how they think they are seen and how other people actually see them. And then my role as a coach is actually to work through that with them and work through those challenges. And we have tears, we have anger, we have smiles, we have the whole gamut of emotions that go through that. In my career, I've done 5 of those LSIs, and probably the third one for me was the one that really hit the mark the most and really challenged me to consider what behaviours I needed to work on in order to become a far more constructive coach, leader, and person to be around. So fabulous tools. I love using them. They're psychologically based. They are normed in the Australasian area. And the company that owns the product has a huge team of people that are working with these products daily, with small businesses like myself, but also with large corporates as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, wonderful tool.
As I said previously, really important tools during my career. But there's a lot of people out there doing it, David, and there's a lot of consultants out there doing supposedly what you do. What should they look for, though, if they want someone who's really going to help them and someone who's going to be using products that are going to be the best for them?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question, John. I think for me, it's about building the relationship and having someone that you can be open and honest with. As I said to you before, one of the greatest opportunities for consultants is to be invited into people's businesses to learn about their people, to learn about their structure. And so for me, when I'm meeting somebody for the first time, or if I've contacted somebody, one of the things that I really is important to me is to build the rapport. And if I think there'll be a challenge with working with someone, either because our values don't align or I really can't see that I can help them, then I'm more than happy to call that. For me, my satisfaction is not about the money that I get paid, it's about the results that I get. The money that consultants earn, I think, is also probably misunderstood in that consultants make thousands of dollars an hour. They're there to rip people off. But the reality is, for me, the money that people pay the job for me to do is a transaction. But what's more important is, what value do I add to your business, to you and to your team? And then for that, there's a sum of money that changes hands. Because what I bring to the table is a number of years' experience in a range of different organisations. And so that's what I talk to people about, and that's the value that I can add, is the breadth of knowledge. So yeah, when people are looking to use a consultant or looking to grow their leadership style, I think for me, it's about saying, can I talk to this person? Can I be open and honest with them? And will they represent me and my culture of my organisation? Do they fit? Because really, in some respects, it's like recruiting a new employee. And one of the biggest things we know with employees is, does that person fit? So yes. I think the consultant needs to also fit your business as well.
Yeah, great advice. Just finally, David, you've been an important part of ThoughtConnect Group. Why are you part of ThoughtConnect?
Yeah, look, so obviously, John, you contacted me probably around 18 months ago. We first had our chat, and I had been in my business for about 6 months. Where I saw a huge opportunity with ThoughtConnect was about helping me build my professional network. So, we talk in consultant world about keeping the pipeline full. You've got to have new clients coming in all the time, and that's absolutely true, because at the end of the day, that's where the money comes from. But on the flip side of it, where I saw ThoughtConnect really adding value to me as a person, but also to my business, was to grow a professional network. Coming out of a corporate environment where you're one of 5,000 people, and in a local team where you're one of 50 people, you don't have the opportunity as a consultant to have the water cooler conversations, to pick up an American term, or those off the cuff, hey, John, can I just grab you for 5 minutes? Just want to run something by you. For a lot of us, we're sitting in our offices by ourselves. So for me, ThoughtConnect gave me the opportunity to have or develop a network of people where I could have that phone call. Hey, John, how you going? Can we grab a coffee? I want to have a chat to you about some stuff. Or you got 5 minutes on the phone. So that has been a really important part for me, certainly from a well-being perspective, mental health perspective. It's been great to be able to know that once a month we come together, group of people who share similar experiences. And our businesses in the main are quite different. Our clients are quite different. But what we experience in that journey is actually very similar. And I think that's the thing for me, which I guess for me, let's call ThoughtConnect the rock. It's that place to come home to without sounding corny, but it's the place you can say, well, in that space, I can be myself. I can open up. I don't have to put my guard on. And I don't have to tell people that the world is wonderful, 7 days a week, because as with any job, it has its ups and downs. So that's been an important part for me of why ThoughtConnect is something that I'm certainly continuing with my own business.
No, thanks, and thanks very much for being such an important part. The quality that you bring to the team is really outstanding. Thanks very much for your insights today, David. Really appreciate it. For those listening, if you didn't get full details of David, please just go to my website, ThoughtConnect.com.au, and thank you very much for those listening for being part of ThoughtConnect.com. Thanks, David.
Thanks, John.